I recently had my first call with a financial planner, and it inspired me to make this video. I wanted to bring a couple things back to you. I feel like there's kind of the side of the internet that's very personal finance focused, and then there's a side that's very entrepreneurship focused, but we don't always talk about them together. And the thing is, the number one reason why businesses fail is money, poor cash flow. And the number one thing that separates a hobby from a business is money. So it's really important that we're able to talk about it. So let's dive in. The first thing that I wish I would have known before I started a business about money is that revenue does not equal profit. When you hear people talk about, hey, my business made this much last year, typically they're referring to revenue, aka the total amount of money that a business takes in a given period of time. Usually they're not referring to profit, which is revenue minus expenses. Profit is what you're left over with. And the reason it's important to understand the difference between the two is, number one, I just wish I understood earlier that profitability really is key. Making a lot of revenue is good, but if you have wild expenses, if you were paying a huge team, if you're wasting a lot of money on a huge office, if you're buying new equipment every single day, week, or year, it can get really expensive to run your business. You sometimes in the personal finance world hear about lifestyle creep. Well, I think there's a very similar thing in businesses. It's really easy to just let your business get out of control, just spiral out of control and get so expensive to run that you almost become beholden to your business. You are no longer steering the ship. You are just feeding that machine. And that is a really not great place to be in. I've felt that way at times in my business, and it's totally stripped away my creativity and my passion and my love for what I do. I think there's a lot of well-meaning people on the internet who give advice of write this off, take more, travel more, take more trips, buy more equipment, buy this, buy that. It's good for your business. It's going to help you pay less taxes. And listen, I'll say it out front here, I am not here to give you tax advice. That is certainly not my area of specialty. Talk to an accountant about that. However, my business is typically only spending about 30% of total revenue on the business. And that's one of the cool things about running an online business. I don't have a brick and mortar. I don't pay a huge corporate team. So it's actually a really lean business to run. And I think that's one of the best reasons to start an online business is you really don't need a lot to start it. So run a lean business. Book recommendation for that is The Minimalist Entrepreneur by Sahil Lavinia. I've recommended it before. It's a really good one. The second thing that I wish I would have thought about when I first started is that you really need to be planning ahead as an entrepreneur. The thing with entrepreneurship is that it is very up and down. There are a lot of variables that happen, time of year, the season, the economy, like so many different things can influence how much money we're making. It's not like you just go and get a 9-to-5 and get that standard salary that you can expect every 2 weeks or every month or whatever. One of the things that has helped me better predict my income is developing recurring revenue streams. I've talked to you all about today's partner, uscreen, before, and I am currently working on my uscreen membership as we speak. Super excited to show it to you all. But the thing about it is, not only is it a great way to connect with my audience better, so it's a benefit to people who want to join and get additional value, get additional courses, things like that as a part of their membership. But from a financial perspective, it's also great for an online business owner, for a content creator to have people on that subscription plan so that you can kind of look forward to and predict your income a little bit better. Uscreen helps you create a Netflix-like viewing experience for paying members, sharing premium content like tutorials, courses, or even long-form documentaries. You can also create private live streams, interact with your members in the community, and send your members push notifications all through one branded mobile app. It's super cool. Your membership is truly in their pockets via your own mobile apps, as well as TV apps like Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV, which has a Netflix-like look and feel. I'm super excited to use the community feature to nurture my audience, build out courses that are exclusive to my uscreen membership, and of course, just make my content super convenient and accessible to folks via that mobile app. So if you want to check out uscreen, I'll leave a link for them down below. Be sure to let them know that Latasha sent you. Thanks to them for working with me on today's video. So recurring revenue is one of the things that you can do to help yourself plan ahead, because doing service-based work, there's nothing wrong with it, absolutely. But let's say something, hopefully it never does, but let's say something happens to you. I currently, forgot to mention this, have COVID. I am hopefully at the tail end of it, but it has taken me out of the business for over a week. And luckily, I do have different subscription models of revenue that come in. I have different revenue streams like YouTube that kind of work semi-passively. So I haven't taken a huge financial hit from having to be off for an entire week. But if I didn't have any of those things, I might be a little bit worried about that. Unfortunately, as freelancers, we don't really get a lot of those same benefits that you would get with a traditional job, like sick time. One of the things that the financial planner asked me about, because, I thought that I was totally good when it came to the business side of things. I was like, I know I need to be investing more and making my money work a little harder for me. But I thought I was totally good. I have business insurance. I have a good savings account for my business. And he was like, do you have disability? He said, it's really affordable. Don't quote me on this, but he was sharing that I think he only paid, under $100 a month or something like that for his disability insurance. And it was enough to be able to live off of if, God forbid, something ever happened. You don't really think about those things when you start a business, but definitely when you start making a consistent amount of money that you get used to, your lifestyle adapts to, I have a mortgage now, all of these different things, it is important to think about those things. So consider looking into that. Now, I talked about this a little bit already, but the third thing I really wish I would have thought about is that you can make your money work for you. That's the secret. That's the cheat code. Once you start making good money, do not just let it sit there like I have for so long. I am embarrassed to say where I was keeping my money. It wasn't under a mattress. It wasn't that bad, but it was in an account that was doing virtually nothing for me. Keeping large amounts of money in a checking account or even a savings account is just it's not maximizing the potential of it. So what I have chosen to do is put my regular savings, the stuff that I want to have relatively easy access to, into a high yield savings account. The one that I chose to go with is Marcus by Goldman Sachs. I actually have a referral link. If you join via that link, not sponsored, you will be able to get a rate of, I believe right now it's 5.3% for 3 months, which is huge. It means what you put in to that account, they will give you 5.3% interest on, as opposed to most standard bank accounts are basically nothing. So it's really silly, especially to keep large amounts of money in just your normal checking or savings account. And I was always worried about putting stuff away into an account like that. And this is actually a book that the financial planner recommended that I read. It's called The Psychology of Money. And this book talks all about, what mindsets we were kind of shaped with, either by the time in the world that we were born, by financial situations of our family, money beliefs, things like that. It's really interesting. One of my, financial wounds is that I didn't grow up with a lot of money. So I was always worried about, well, what if I need it and I can't get it out and that kind of thing. And so talking to the financial planner, he let me know, high yield savings account, you are able to pull it out at any time. Some of them have a 7-day window or something, but it's relatively easy. But make your money work for you, especially once you start making good money. I was making good money for a long time and just hoarding it. I can't get that time back. I can't get those potential interest rates back. You could be earning thousands every year just by having it sit in an account. Another thing that I wish I would have thought about earlier is really knowing my own financial goals and dreams. And I talked recently about the Rami Sethi show, How to Get Rich on Netflix. To borrow one of his terms, he talks a lot about building your own rich life. And when you hear rich, again, that's one of the things that really threw me off of even wanting to watch the show because I just didn't like the term. We think about rich in one way, right? We think about a lot of money. That's how most people define rich, but that isn't wealth to everybody. You have to know your values and know what you prioritize and know what you want to do. For example, some people just really value health, and their idea of living a rich life is having access to healthcare, having access to good food, maybe having a home gym, and they could be making not a lot of money and just be happy with those things. Other people, they strongly value family, and so they want to always make sure that they're able to take care of their family first above anything. Other people value looking good, right? And want to be able to splurge on expensive clothing or whatever. And you have to know what those priorities are for yourself. Otherwise, you're going to start letting other people define it for you. And I did that for a long time. I was just racing for these numbers. I was looking at other people on the internet and thinking, oh, okay, that number is possible. That's my new goal. And then I would hit that goal and I wouldn't feel any different. I would hit that goal and I would still be me, and I would still be missing things that were really important to me. So you want to make sure that you define these things for yourself. And my last tip is to make sure that you invest in a good accountant. I truly believe that a good accountant will be the best investment that you make for your business. I waited too long to do this. I was working with different people every year, and they were messing stuff up. I ended up with a tax, I owed the government at one point. Not anything huge, thank goodness, but it was not fun to get that letter saying, hi, you owe an extra multiple $1,000s. And, I'm terrified of everything. So of course I was I need to pay this immediately. It's just not a good feeling. So a good accountant who really understands your business is key. I always get the question, how do you find a good one? I found my accountant through sort of a business mentor, a group that I was in, a membership that I was in. And I think that's kind of the best way, is by talking to people who also understand your business situation. Talk to others in your industry. Talk to other people who are, making around the same amount of money as you, who are in similar situations as you, and hopefully you'll find someone good. I love my accountant and bookkeepers. They do have some income requirements and things like that. I think they work with people who run primarily online businesses that are earning six figures or above. So if you fit into that, feel free to send me a message and I'm happy to send you an intro. Something I read in this book that was really interesting. People talk about Roth IRAs like it's like candy or something. That's oh, everyone's supposed to know about that and know how to do that. Apparently, the 401k did not exist until 1978, and the Roth IRA was not born until 1998. If it was a person, it would be barely old enough to drink. It should surprise no one that many of us are bad at saving and investing for retirement. We're not crazy. We're all just newbies. So all of this money stuff, when it comes to business, when it comes to personal, when it comes to saving, when it comes to investing, don't beat yourself up about it. Just hire people who know this stuff better than you, or do research. You can absolutely do a lot of stuff on your own too, but hiring experts for me as a busy business owner has been easier for me to be a little bit more hands-off. I want to answer a couple questions really quick. We're going to do a rapid fire. I asked you what questions you had about money. The first one is when to start paying yourself and how to gauge what to pay yourself with expenses and taxes. This is what I personally did. I paid myself immediately. As soon as I started making money, I made sure to pay myself, even if it was just a small amount. I think that's the fair thing to do for yourself, and that's what keeps momentum and motivation up. Now, for me, I always saved about 30% of my invoice for taxes, and then really does depend on your expenses. You'll have to kind of get a benchmark of, what seems to be average in your industry, what you tend to be spending month over month. In the very beginning, when I was just doing freelance writing, freelance social media management, I was paying for virtually nothing. So I could take about 50% of my invoice and pay myself, and then just hang on to the rest for kind of that business fund for any potential expenses that came up. Another question related to that, how much do you spend on self/professional development? I don't usually spend any more than 10%, probably closer to 5% of revenue. Of course, it depends though, because if you're in the very early stages of business, and let's say you need to learn a skill, right? Maybe you want to become a web designer. In my opinion, my non-financial professional opinion, don't think it's a bad thing to take a web design course that's going to teach you how to make your business, how to learn the skills to do your business. But on kind of an ongoing basis, once you know the essential skills, in general, you want to make sure that any expense you make is going to have ROI. So skills-based courses, I think, are almost always good investments, especially if we're going to compare it to like a college degree. If somebody's looking to take a social media manager course, web design course, or go to college, right? Like the course 9 times out of 10, it's going to be cheaper. So if that's included in kind of your business startup cost, I think that's fine personally, but I don't like to spend more than 10% on an ongoing basis, excluding those startup costs. How do you track and manage the money you make from freelancing? Another person asked about my favorite tool for bookkeeping. So my favorite tool for bookkeeping is my bookkeepers. Again, I have somebody else do this for me. Before I had them do it, I used QuickBooks, self-employed. And so that's a great way to track if you're DIYing it. I hired a bookkeeping team once I started to get multiple streams of revenue, and it was hard for me to kind of keep accurate tabs on everything. And just once I started to get really busy and realizing I couldn't dedicate that day a week, an hour a week or so to go through and reconcile my books, I knew I was getting behind and I need to hire someone. With that said, I also do keep track myself. I have a very simple revenue spreadsheet that I just made in Google Sheets. And every time I get an invoice in, I get a payment for something, I sell a course, I update that spreadsheet. And it is not to the cent, but it is pretty accurate. I can glance at that and know about where I'm at for the year. And this just helps me on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, plan for the rest of the year to make sure that I'm hitting my financial goals. So create a simple spreadsheet like that. For more detailed, like when you gotta think about taxes and all that stuff, QuickBooks Self-Employed is a good option, or hiring a bookkeeper. How to verify income as a new freelancer trying to purchase. Do I really gotta wait 3 years? I have a video all about my house buying process. I think that is what this person is referring to. The long story short, I wanna say it was 2 years. I could be wrong there, but I believe it was just 2 years that you need to have of tax returns to prove that you make money. Keep good financial records. Make sure that you have a profit and loss statement. That's like the key thing that a mortgage lender is going to ask you for. Do you have to be an LLC to claim things like software or tools for taxes, or is 1099 enough proof? Again, as always, talk to a financial professional, a tax person, to get your situation figured out. But what I did when I first started, I was a sole proprietor for, years when I was just, again, working on Upwork, doing freelance writing, things like that. And I was still able to write off tools, things like that. As long as I had self-employment income, I could also have self-employment expenses. All right. I really hope that this video was helpful, helped clear some things up about business finances. And again, huge thanks to uscreen for working with me on today's video. If you are interested in building a recurring revenue stream for your business, you should definitely check it out. Content creators, online business owners, you can host a bunch of videos, you can interact with your community, you can do live streams and get a mobile app all in your audience's pocket. It's a great tool. I can't wait to show you my uscreen site. I'll leave a link for them down in the description, and I'll talk to you in my next one. Bye.